Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Applicant Question and Answer webinar for the 13th call of Recordings at Risk. We're glad that you could join us today. Our time together will be filled with your questions, but first we have just a few slides to share. We will begin with an overview and a few reminders about Zoom. You can click the CC Show Captions button at the bottom of your Zoom window to turn on the live transcript. Attendees will be muted throughout the presentation. You're welcome to use chat for general introductions and conversation. To send a message to everyone, change the default from host to panelists to everyone. Use the separate Q&A box to ask questions. We will try to answer all questions live and also share responses afterwards. The session is being recorded. The recording slides, question and answer document, and transcript will be available on the Apply for an Award page of our website within 2 weeks.
CLIR's work is accomplished by a relatively small staff, about 20 geographically distributed individuals, with the greatest concentration living in the DC area. Today's webinar is led by the grants team, which administers CLIR's active regranting programs, offering support for the entire grant cycle from application to final report. The CLIR grants team includes Sharon Burney, Program Officer from Midlothian, Virginia, Alyson Pope, Program Officer, Pittsburgh, PA, myself, Jane Larson, Senior Program Associated, also located in Pittsburgh, PA, Lizzi Albert, Community Relations Manager, located in Washington, D.C., and Louisa Kwasigroch, Managing Director, located in Chicago, Illinois.
Our team would like to center today's conversation by acknowledging that, as residents of the United States, we are speaking to you from unceded land of many Indigenous peoples. I'd like to respectfully acknowledge and recognize the original and current caretakers of the land, water, and air where I live, the Piscataway and Anacostan peoples, and all of their ancestors and descendants. I'm grateful to have the opportunity to live and work on their homelands and ask you to join me in acknowledging all Indigenous communities, their elders, both past and present, as well as future generations. May this acknowledgement remind us of our shared commitment to beginning the process of working to dismantle the ongoing legacies of settler colonialism. If you haven't done so already, we'd love for you to introduce yourself in the chat and share a land acknowledgement from the area where you live if you'd like.
We've had a lot of questions about eligible materials, so we want to take a quick moment to highlight a few of the AV formats that have come up recently. In sharing this, we want to reemphasize that there is no definitive list of eligible materials. We can continue to encounter unusual AV formats that fit the priorities of this program. So as you consider whether or not the materials you are nominating for digitization are a fit, remember that this program was designed to prioritize at-risk time-based analog materials for preservation through digitization. This program does not support file migration for previously digitized or born digital materials. We continue to welcome your questions on this.
We've also received a number of questions about rights ethics and reuse. We wanted to address the rights ethics and reuse section of the application, which helps reviewers assess an applicant's understanding of the legal and ethical issues affecting access to the nominated content and evaluate the proposed approach. We require you to dedicate all metadata to the public domain under a Creative Commons waiver and to avoid imposing additional access restrictions on the reformatted recordings than what may already be in place for the source recordings. While this program does prioritize preservation over access, reviewers strongly prefer that applicants avoid creating unnecessary barriers to access, since such barriers inhibit a project's impact. Access restrictions are allowable when well justified due to legal and/or ethical concerns. Such restrictions will not necessarily disadvantage you in the competition and may even be viewed favorably by the review panel. This includes restricting access to recordings that include personally identifiable information or culturally sensitive material. And with that, we can start with our first question. Something. We don't have any yet. So if you want to ask us anything, you can put it in the Q&A box. What recommendations do we have for vendors to handle VHS recordings? We don't give specified vendor, we don't recommend which vendor you use. If you want to look for vendors online, we recommend the DLF, Digitizing Special Formats Wiki. There's also a list, I believe, at ARSC. But any reputable VHS vendor, you'll want to provide the quote in your application, and then you'll just want to explain why you chose them beyond, and that explanation should be more than just we've worked with them before, but why they're qualified for the particular material they're working with.
What? Can you talk over what sort of institutions are eligible to apply? Yes, this program is open to nonprofit, academic, research, or cultural heritage organizations located within the United States and Canada. Also, any associated entities, so American Samoa, Guam, Puerto Rico, Virgin Islands, Northwest Territories. You have to be a nonprofit, and your main focus of your organization should be cultural heritage or preservation. Some in federal, state, provincial, and territorial, tribal, indigenous governments are also do apply. If you're a government institution and you're not sure if you apply, just send us an email at recordings@risk@clir.org, and we'll confirm your eligibility.
What types of projects have been funded in the past? You can actually go to our website, recordings@risk@clir.org, and we have a funded projects page. So we have 12 funded cycles for this program, and we typically have around 15 awardees per cohort. So that's a pretty big chunk that you can see. They have been a range of projects that go anywhere from digitizing indigenous languages on old wax cylinder to digitizing more current formats like VHS, for a wide range of organization types. I would definitely suggest checking out the funded projects page to give you a sense of the span, because it's a pretty big range.
Yeah. Okay, does an award from CLIR have to cover the entire cost of a project, or can the award be for partial cost coverage? So you will submit a budget detail and a budget narrative. In your if your project doesn't cover the full cost, in your budget narrative, you can explain the cost share of the what's going to be not funded in the project, maybe from other sources or from your organization. You won't put that cost share in the budget detail spreadsheet. So yes, you would explain that in the cost share act section of your budget narrative.
If you are a collaborator on the application, does that count as in-house? I don't know exactly what a collaborator on the application means. So we have two different digitization programs. This program is a single institution program, Recordings at Risk. So we're not open to collaborative projects. It's typically just the single applicant applying. And it was required that you use a digitization vendor for your digitization. So someone outside of your organization that you are paying the funds to do your digitization work. Your full grant doesn't have to be used in that way. There may be some things that you're doing in-house from a metadata perspective, but the digitization has to be done by an outside vendor.
I feel confident that we're readily able to digitize and catalog project films during the project period, but I'm less confident we'll be able to complete getting them all online in that time frame, although that's the plan thoughts. Yeah, unfortunately, that's part of the requirements for this grant is to um, ingest them and get them online. And you will have to submit the file manifest as part of your final report for the project. Projects are 12 months. Questions, uh, thoughts would be maybe to lessen the amount of materials that you're doing, but make sure that it's cost effective so that the review panel will see it as a um, competitive project. This is a very highly competitive program. Yeah, I don't know what else to tell you other than to maybe lessen the number of materials so that you have more time for ingest. Also look at maybe some different I don't know what your institution is using or what your support system is for your institution for getting them online. So that'd be difficult to answer. Okay, good. That helps. Okay.
We're waiting on a digitization estimate of our materials. What if it's below the threshold of $10,000? Would this make our project ineligible? So the low cap for award request for the program is $10,000. All of your funding doesn't necessarily have to go like specifically and only to digitization. You may have a need for some metadata work, transcription, translation, mitigation of materials, and the like, shipping to and from the vendor. So there are going to be some external costs. We always want to see at least 50% of your project ask be direct funded for digitization. But if perchance you got like a $9,500 digitization estimate, you would likely have other costs that could make your project appropriately scoped to request the minimum project ask.
Is CLIR looking at how many items we are attempting to digitize, or does that matter? For instance, is 40 audio cassettes too small of a project? I first want to start by saying that we use an independent review panel. So the review panel will make decisions. They're from a variety of different expertise. I would say depends on what kind of shape the audio cassettes are in. You probably want to add to that. Your project materials and the story that you tell about the project materials should be compelling. Um, you don't just have to, you may have some other materials that are added to that collection that tell a more cohesive story. So yes and no. They just want to see that your cost ratio for your digitization makes sense. And as we just said, there is a $10,000 minimum for the project.
There are formats that are high cost. I don't think
I don't think audio cassette
cassettes
would be
is
one.
one,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
if you did have a small collection but of a like high risk, high cost format, I wouldn't feel afraid to apply.
yeah. Great questions. Did we miss me?
Is there a Canadian component to the review panel? We are working on building out our review panel right now for this cycle, with the addition of uh, Canadian practitioners since we've expanded the eligibility of the program. We don't have all of those folks in place yet. We expect that they should be up on the website sometime in the next month or so.
Is travel permitted? Yes, travel is permitted if it is included in perhaps like bring the materials to the vendor. Some materials are very high risk, and you would have to take them to the vendors. Um, some people have to drive them depending on how high risk they are. So you can include that. We do have a what we call the 50-50 rule in recordings at risk. And the 50-50 rule states that 50% of your total project ask should be towards the digitization costs only. The other, your project shouldn't be more than 50% allowed to um, other costs other than the digitization. So keep that in mind as you're building out your budgets.
My organization is considering applying for preservation of oral histories on cassette. The material concerns local African American culture and history as relates to a Reconstruction era school. Can you please talk about potential cultural sensitivity concerns that could arise relevant to this topic? First of all, I will say this isn't really our wheelhouse, but in terms of whether the rights, ethics, and reuse conditions of collections are appropriate is something that's decided by the panel. But I know in terms of concerns that we typically would look at, there are issues when you're dealing with still alive populations, which this is a precursor to, so not necessarily something that you would be as concerned about, but you would have descendant communities, and you probably want to be working with those descendant communities or those related cultural organizations in that area.
Yeah, and hopefully you've already established relationships with those communities being highlighted in these nominated materials. The review panel is, and our rights, ethics, and reuse will be looking for those established relationships. And how you present that in your application that you've already established these relationships and they'll be ongoing, and that you guys will handle any of the cultural insensitivities or possible issues. They want to know that you have a plan for any issues that could come up already in place prior to digitization.
But this will be specific to your materials too, and the time in which they take place, because with historical collections, you'll have different concerns than with contemporary collections or medical collections, etc. I'm going to give you all a few more minutes. This is somewhat sparse attendance for this webinar, but I have a feeling many folks did not make it into work today. Which, like, if the outside at their house looks like the outside at my house, I fully understand.
Do some shoveling after this.
Can cost of storage of originals be funded? No, you can buy rehousing supplies, I believe, but the ongoing storage costs would be expected to be borne by the institution.
Yeah, that would be considered an indirect cost. Any more questions? Going once. Oh, okay. You're welcome. Remember, applications are due February 24th.
If there's no more questions, thank you everyone for joining us today to learn more about recordings at risk. We will upload the slides, transcript, and written answers to today's questions on the Apply for an Award page. If you have additional questions, you can always reach the CLIR grants team at recordingsatrisk@clir.org, and we all monitor that program's inbox and do our best to reply promptly. As Sharon said, don't forget applications are due February 24th. Thanks to all of you for the interest in this program and for attending today's session. Have a great afternoon and happy grant writing.